Let's talk about the Canon EOS RP, that brand new mirrorless camera that just came out. Everybody's putting it down. We're talking full frame camera, 4K video, and everybody put it down because it doesn't do 25 frames per second on video. I am shooting this with two fluorescent lights, Canon G7X2, and that's what I'm shooting this with, G7X Mark II. This is a point and shoot camera. I'm shooting at 1080p, 60 frames a second. I could do 25, I could do 30. I don't, I always shoot in 60. I may want to put something in slow motion, I don't know, I just formed a habit of doing that. I upload to YouTube. I'm not trying to make $1 million. I do it as a hobby. And these people review these cameras as if everybody in the world's a professional. I never seen anything like it. Oh, it's not a professional camera. Canon said it wasn't a professional camera. It's an entry-level camera, but you get full frame for $1,300. It's the cheapest full frame out there. And they're like, well, it doesn't have this. Canon already has super great autofocus. Nothing beats it. Even a point and shoot camera. I mean, what is their M50? It's worth like $600 or whatever. That's a great camera for YouTube or vlogging or whatever. And without breaking the bank. I mean, when you start getting into these cameras, they start getting expensive quickly. I mean, just to do wildlife photography, I've got a Canon 80D here. The camera was like $1,200 when I bought it. I have shot great photos with this 80D. I've had two elk actually fighting and banging their horn. It's a great photo. I've actually got it hanging on my wall framed. I've taken great photos with that 80D, and that's a crop sensor. I'm sitting here going, wow, full frame. Can you imagine how pretty my photos would be then? And it's actually at a price point I might be able to afford. I'm saving now to buy it. But something always seems to come up. It takes away the money. But even to buy certain lenses I bought, I mean, they act like, oh, you know, that lens is $200. That's a cheap lens. You don't want that. You want to get an L lens. Get one with the red line. They act like $200 is nothing. That pays my power bill. It's not nothing. When I bought the 100 by 400 lens, it's back there on the wall. I mean, let me show you. When I bought this lens, okay, this lens here cost me, it was around $2,500. These things ain't cheap. Okay, then I bought the foot pad from Really Right Stuff that allows me to click into their system, and that was another $150 or whatever. This equipment is not cheap. And when I put this lens on my Canon 80D, oh man, I get some great, I get some really great photos. But just this setup right here, okay? Just these two things. $1,200 for this, $2,500 for this. I mean, that's a lot of money. And then I bought the 1.6 converter, whatever it is, so I could get even more reach. That was more money. I mean, you're into quite a setup. And then these guys are all yelling, oh, switch, go to Sony. Sony's better. Get away from Canon. And I'm like, are you guys nuts? I got to sell all this stuff and take a loss. I got to start all over. Probably take me a year just to get where I am right now. And then I got to get used to a whole new camera. No. Sometimes I think those guys don't listen to themselves. I've shot Nikon. My wife has a Nikon. Menus I find a bit confusing. Canon is super easy to use when it comes to their menus. Really easy. I mean, Nikon I struggle with a little bit. I hate to see Sony. I've heard people say the menu is not great with Sony. I don't want to be sitting there in the bush in my blind playing with my menus for half an hour while my battery goes dead. And then everybody talked about with the mirrorless camera Canons, oh, the battery life's only going to be 1 hour. You know, it's got these little tiny batteries, just like this Canon G7X Mark II. Well, so what? I've got a setup that I put together. I got a video, you guys can watch it, where I take my Canon G7X Mark II. I can make that thing run for 10 hours on one big battery. believe it or not, they're inventing stuff to connect yourself to a dummy battery and you got unlimited battery power. I'm sure there'll be one for the mirrorless. The battery won't even be an issue. Or carry 5 or 10 in your pocket, if it's that big of a deal. But I'm shooting this on a Canon G7X Mark II, and like I said, two fluorescent lights, one on the ceiling. That's all I got. I mean, I think they think everybody has gold credit cards. You know? And maybe they become millionaires off YouTube. But to the regular Joe, I see a full frame camera for $1,300 and I see, okay, I can do 4K video. It's not the greatest focus system, but if I get it set up and I'm doing something like this, it should be fine. So I really don't see the big deal. And I don't know why they want to make negative reviews and just beat the heck out of a camera company. It's like they've all got something against Canon. Like, I can understand them. Why don't they do a proper review on the camera? Go out and take some photos, take some video. Most of the guys I've seen didn't take video. I found one guy that he didn't even talk in the video. He went and took video with the 4K of the RP camera, and it looked beautiful. To me, it did. For YouTube. But not one of those guys that were saying, oh, it's horrible, it doesn't have this, it doesn't have that, yada, yada, yada. And not one of them were taking pictures or video or testing it, because they don't got it yet. And I'm like, how can you sit there and insult this and put it down and you don't even know it? When I bought this Canon 80D for $1,200, this almost broke my bank, it was so hard to buy. They act like $1,200, oh, it's only a $1,300 camera, what do you expect? $1,300? That takes me a long time to save. They're in a whole league that I'm not in, I'll tell you. I mean, it took me, what, 6-7 months just to save for that? Just so I could do wildlife photography? And I do this as a hobby. This is not something I'm trying to make a living at. Now, if you're some big-time professional photographer in weddings or, you know, whatever you're shooting, yeah, you want a professional grade camera. You probably have Fuji, Sony, Canon. You probably have mini cameras. I mean, it's like having mini tools for the job. Oh, we got low light, we need this camera. Oh, we got this, we need this camera. And that's great if you can do that. But us regular Joes, no, we can't do that. When I seen Canon release that RP camera, and it said $1,300, I was like, oh my God. And then everybody was yelling, oh, they took away the 25 frames per second, the cinema style. I'm like, I'm not making movies. Like, I do mostly everything in 60 frames a second anyways. Even on my Canon G7X Mark II, I'm doing 60 frames a second. I even got it set on my Canon 80D. I'm not out to become some movie star. And if the video looks good and clear, people understand me, I get my message across, hey, all's good. And if I can use it. If I get a camera that I have to sit there for an hour playing with a menu system, I don't call that so great. But if I can move around and say, oh yeah, okay, I get that, I get this. I don't know. I think those guys have gotten so big on YouTube that they just all believe that everybody has $1 million and everybody's going to be this Hollywood star. I must have watched 12, 14 different guys and they were all saying, oh, Canon did it again. They took something out. It's a full frame camera for $1,300 and it does have 4K video that I can play with. Okay, it doesn't have autofocus. I don't know. You go back years ago, like 5, 10 years. I think it was 10 years ago. You go back 10 years ago. None of the cameras had great focus. Nikon, all of them. Canon was the only one that had the great focus. The majority didn't. They were struggling with it. They're catching up to it. But I still think Canon still has. Everybody screams about cameras having flip screens. So you'd think every camera would have a flip screen. But they don't. So I don't know. Everybody's needs is different when it comes to a camera. This is what I think that they seem to think everybody's professional. Everybody's needs are different. I mean, I could see doing this camera review saying it does have 4K, but the focusing isn't that great. And then they go into it and show it. Okay, fine. To me, that would be much better. It's almost like they're just making videos to make videos. Because I didn't see one guy test it. He just, oh, look at the specs. This camera's horrible. 25 frames a second. Oh, it's horrible. Not horrible to me. I don't shoot in 25 frames a second. I've been shooting on a crop sensor camera for as long as I can remember, and I take pretty good shots. Be nice to have a full frame shot. Okay, so if I take 5 shots, I go click, 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 and it stops for a little bit to catch up. Okay, so what? I'm going to work around my tool. I'm going to work around my camera. I'm going to wait for those shots. Maybe it'll make me a better photographer because I'm waiting, because I'm not so quick to push that button. I don't know. But one thing's for sure. These guys, I don't know where they're from or what level they're in, because I don't think the majority of us are there. I don't think we've all got, millions of subscribers and we make millions of dollars. It's like they've forgotten where they started or where they came from. And it's great that they got the best of the best, but the majority of us don't. I'm saving to buy the Canon EOS RP camera. I would love to try that out. And with, when I have enough money, I'm going to go to a camera place and I'm going to go try it. But I can't go buy anything anybody has said on YouTube because they're all acting like I need to have some gold credit card. Anyhow, just my point of view. I'm looking forward to it. I'm not impressed with all those guys, what they've said about the camera. Unless they want to go make one and make it cheaper than $1,300 for a full frame, 4K video. I got the menu system of Canon, the autofocus at 1080p and 30 and 60 frames. I mean, sounds like it's fine to me. And then that gives me time when they do bring out those new lenses, when they bring out one for these zooms. I'm sure it's going to be $3,000 that I'll be able to pick up for the camera. And who knows, maybe 5 years down the line, I'll finally be able to buy one of those big expensive cameras after I've got the glass to match this new generation mirrorless camera. But I just can't afford to go out and spend $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 on a camera, then go spend $3,000 on a lens and do that all in one day. This was bought three years ago, I think I bought it. And this was bought like this year, and then I bought the L bracket and some stuff for it. I mean, this camera took me over 4 or 5 years to get everything I wanted to get for it. And then all the little stuff, gimbals. I have a gimbal for my Canon 80D. Don't use it that much. I wish I would. I thought I would. Haven't used it that much. Sometimes you get something in your head that you think you're going to use, then you get it and you don't use it. It's really weird. But I wish they would stop tearing the camera apart, wait until they get the camera, show the photos, show how close it is in the corners, show the video of the 4K, how it comes out of focus, or if it's okay for a guy sitting behind a table like me. I mean, it sounds like the perfect camera for me. It sounds like it'll work just fine. Anyhow, that's my point of view on the Canon EOS RP. I'll probably end up buying one. And when I do, I'll give a regular review, of using it after 6 months and how it's working out for me. Not look off some spec sheet and act like, oh, we're the biggest and baddest guys on YouTube when it comes to camera. I just don't get it. Catch you guys later.